This is it. This is the one, boys. He's going down. Hello, I'm Custard Guts. I've just finished up with the new Delve boss in World of Warcraft Midnight, and it was a pretty tricky one. It took me approximately 39 attempts with multiple wipes on 5% or less. Along the way, I came across some tips and tricks that I would have loved to have known when I started the challenge. This will be from a Mountain Thane Fury Warrior's point of view in 246 item level. First of all, I just want to apologise for the strange camera angle on the footage. The video recording doesn't seem to have recorded properly, but nonetheless, we'll get into it. But first things first, the curios I used. I just wanted to touch on this because I found changing these along the way definitely provided some benefit. The combat curio I used was the Mantle of Stars, which gives a 40% shield when you hit low health. This occurs every 90 seconds. And the utility curio I used was the Time Lost Edict, which occasionally gives a bubble around your player, and whilst you're in it gives increased haste and cooldown reduction. I found this particularly handy when trying to burn the ads down in Phase 2 and 3. On to Phase 1. It's just you up against Nullaeus here. He does have a one-shot mechanic called Emptiness of the Void. You just want to make sure you're interrupting that each time he casts it. It's a long enough cast time, so you shouldn't have too much concern with that, especially in Phase 1, when that's pretty much all you've got to worry about. You'll see the red orbs here that Valera leaves on the ground. She spawns 3 orbs that expire over time if you don't pick them up. The orbs give a robust heal, as well as a heal over time that stacks. I found the best practice with these was to pick one up every 4 to 5 seconds, so you keep your stacks active before they expire. At 4 stacks, this will last for 12 seconds, so you want to refresh this with about 5 seconds left to maximize the uptime. You'll need to aim to keep 4 stacks up at all times, or else the melee damage from Nullaeus will kill you. His other ability in Phase 1 is called Devouring Essence. This is the debuff that Valera will dispel. I was using Spell Reflect for some added damage, but if you're not a warrior, you haven't got too much to worry about with this one as it's uninterruptible. The other 2 things to note here are the purple and green circles that you see on the floor. The purple circle will give you a damage reduction while you stand in it, and the green circle will give you a heal over time. I found these to be not too beneficial, especially when you've got the 4 stack of orbs up, but it gives you some respite nonetheless. Outside of that, there's not too much else to cover there. The only other thing I'll mention is that I found it best to rotate through your cooldowns in this phase, ensuring that they are off cooldown as you head into Phase 2, which initiates at 75%. If you are using damage potions, I would save that for when we hit 75%. I found the timing better that way. Once we get into Phase 2, Nullaeus will spawn 2 Razor Shell Ravagers. You'll want to have your cooldowns available here, as well as a damage potion, as these need to die as soon as possible. The 2 ads will leave a damage over time effect on you that hits pretty hard, so ideally you'll want both of these dead, if not very low HP, when Nullaeus stops channeling and comes back into the fray. They do have a considerable health bar, hence why I found it best to save your cooldowns for this phase. Nullaeus channels for about 45 seconds while the ads are active before he comes back into the fight. So do your best to get these as low as possible and then cleave them down. As the debuff they put on you is a cast, I do believe you can outrange it, but as I was playing a melee class, I didn't get to play around with that too much. Once you've handled the ads, it's a rinse and repeat of Phase 1. Remember to keep your healing buff up from Valera's orbs. Something else to note, when you've got 4 stacks of the healing buff, I noticed that the purple area that covers the floor was being mitigated by the healing from Valera's orbs. This made life a lot easier when I stopped trying to dodge it and prioritize damage on the ads. From here, just ensure to keep interrupting, keep collecting your orbs, and stand in the healing and damage reduction where you can. We'll just need to get Nullaeus to 50% to initiate Phase 3. I'm going to speed the footage up here, but again, I was managing my cooldowns and how much damage I was doing to the boss to ensure that I had everything available as we headed into phase 3. At 50%, Nullaeus will spawn a bunch of small adds. These need to be AoE'd down with some intent. Again, I recommend saving your cooldowns towards the end of phase 2 to use here. The adds will spit a poison debuff on you. If you get between 5 to 6 stacks, it'll be ticking for 160k a pop, resulting in certain death. I probably sound like a broken record by now, but here it is very important to maintain your 4 stacks of Valera's healing orbs, as it can get quite difficult to see them through all the visual clutter. Use any AoE stuns, fears, or crowd control that you can here. This is where the Mantle of Stars curio comes into play, as it'll knock them up into the air, interrupting their cast if triggered. On top of this, a rotating Void Orb will rotate around the room. The orb will pull you in and do considerable damage to you if you get close enough. Once you've killed the adds and navigated the orb, it's back to rinse and repeat of phase 1 and 2 with the addition of dodging the Void Orb that rotates around the room. Here we are at the business end, the last phase. If you have made it this far, congratulations, you're almost there. At 25%, Nullaeus will spawn an enslaved Voidcaster. This has a lot of health, considerably more than the other adds we've faced so far. Use all of your cooldowns, your potion will be back off cooldown, and use drums or heroism, bloodlust if you have it. The Voidcaster has 2 abilities, one being Shadow Bolt and the other being Shadow Crash. Shadow Bolt doesn't seem to do too much damage and is mitigated through Valera's healing orbs. Shadow Crash will put a purple circle on the ground, which I can only assume will kill you in one shot. I was out of patience to test that by this point. Both of the Voidcaster's abilities can be interrupted, but just keep in mind when Nullaeus comes back, he will continue his wipe mechanic that needs to be interrupted, so ensure that your interrupt is not on cooldown. If you're not able to kill the Voidcaster before Nullaeus comes back into the fight, keep in mind that the Shadow Bolt can time with Nulleus's melee swing, and if your HP isn't around 75 to 80%, there's a high chance you'll get one shot. I found this out the hard way and it was incredibly frustrating. Once the ad's been negotiated, it's just a rinse and repeat of what you've been doing. This is pretty much where you can start playing the music, but in saying that, I did wipe a few times at this stage. Just be sure to keep interrupting, keep your healing buff up, and you should be pretty good from there. This one wasn't as challenging as Kaiveza was, however, it was great fun nonetheless. I do love these challenges that Blizzard implement now and then. It gives me a real Mage Tower vibe, which was always a lot of fun. Go and give it a try. Let me know how you go in the comments, or if there's anything that you're struggling with, comment that down below and I'll see if I can provide any insight. I'll let the rest of the fight play out, but thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this or got something out of it, and please do me a favor and run this video up by giving it a like, giving me a sub, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.